Kevin Price with your Price Point Edition. I'm also on The Price of Business on Business Talk 1110 AM and also with USDailyReview.com. So whatever happened to those weapons of mass destruction? You remember back in the war with Iraq, there was this, first of all, before the war of Iraq, you had the Secretary of State, Colin Powell, making an eloquent case. Hey, they've got weapons of mass destruction. This is in direct violation of international law. Iraq having these weapons, we have to take action against Iraq. You remember, you were there, you lived through the whole narrative. And then, and of course, you remember back in the 1990s, right after the situation where the United States invaded Iraq, thanks to the fact that Iraq, of course, committed its mayhem in Kuwait, that they punished the Kurds for collaborating with the United States with what? Chemical weapons. We knew they existed. We've got evidence. We've got people who suffered from the chemical weapons. So we knew it all the time, but all of a sudden, for the last few years, there's been this constant drumbeat going on that there were no weapons of mass destruction. It's almost like the Iranians saying, you know what, there was never a Holocaust. Oh yeah, we'll tell that to 6 million Jews. The drum keeps beating. There were no weapons of mass destruction. There was no legitimate reason for invasion. We hear that over and over and over again. But what we also know is that Syria didn't have the sophistication to develop those type of weapons of mass destruction. What we also know is that underneath Syria and Iraq are very sophisticated tunnels that are capable of even moving vehicles from Iraq to Syria. What we can probably assume is that all of a sudden the weapons of mass destruction that have showed up in Syria in recent days that Assad is threatening to use against the Syrian people probably came from Iraq. Probably. And so we play these shell games. We play these political games. We ignore reality. We ignore the obvious to our own demise, and we become weak in the eyes of our potential enemies. And it's a pattern that has gotten the United States in trouble over and over and over again. You look at, in fact, recently, just this month, celebrating the anniversary as we do in every December, the attack on Pearl Harbor. We knew for months something was happening in Pearl Harbor. We obviously ignored planes that were on their way to attack Pearl Harbor in spite of warnings. And you had a situation in 2001, September 11, 2001. And I don't blame George Bush. He had been in office for 9 months. But in February 1993, there was a bomb that was in the World Trade Center in the basement in Vans. Remember that? We don't talk about that very much. It was the first attempt to bomb that World Trade Center. Then there were bombs that blew up in embassies in third world countries, all of them pointing back to Al-Qaeda, just like the bomb in 1993. September 11th, 2001 was inevitable, and I believe largely the result of ignoring obvious facts along the way. We can't afford to ignore people's lives get lost. Something to think about. I'm Kevin Price with your Price Point Edition.